our first episode of Art with Josie. Today, we will learn about the famous artist Jackson Pollock, who is nicknamed Action Jackson for his very unique style of painting that no one had seen before. All the illustrations that you will be seeing are taken from the book Action Jackson, written by Jan Greenberg and Sandra Jordan, and illustrated by Robert Andrew Parker. Jackson Pollock was born in 1912 in Cody, Wyoming. As a young boy, he traveled all around the West Coast with his mom and brother. They went from Wyoming to Arizona to California and eventually settling in New York City. In New York, he joined an art school where he would work along other artists of the time. He even volunteered with a group of experimental artists that would make crazy art using things such as spray paint and paint cans as their mediums. While he was in New York City, he met a female Russian artist named Lee Krasner, who he later married. After marrying Lee, he moved out of New York City to a farm in Springs, Long Island, where he would create most of his famous paintings. It was a calm place where him and his wife could cook, garden, build things, and were out in nature. He had his favorite dogs, Jip and Ahab, as his trusted companions with him as he would walk through nature. And he would take long walks to the beach shores, close to his home, and sit and watch the seagulls and take in his surroundings. Jackson Pollock had a beaten old shed that he transformed into a studio art space. It had all types of tools, machines, and everything he needed to do his painting. He took out a large canvas, bigger the better. Now, some artists would start by putting a canvas on an easel, but not Pollock. He'd like to paint right on the floor. To start his masterpiece, he would take random house paint cans, and he would already know what he wanted to create. He would start and dip into the can of syrupy paint. And slowly, he would circle the canvas, stepping around the edges, pouring paint as he goes. He moves his whole body to make the painting, layer after layer, color after color. He continues to go, not touching the canvas ever. I control the flow, and with that there is no beginning or end. Jackson Pollock said he felt closer to the art. He wanted to be part of the painting, to be able to work all four sides like he remembered out west, seeing the Native Americans making their sand art, being inside there on the floor. He listened to the beautiful jazz music as he painted. Each stroke moved to the rhythm of the tune. Jackson used all types of painting tools, old hardened brushes, sticks. He was not even concerned if something fell into his paintings. He moved like a dancer, dripping, swirling, flinging his paint. It was about expressing his feelings. The painting has a life of its own. And this is the piece he made, called Lavender Mist. Here are some other Jackson Pollock artworks for you to see. His art style was given the name Abstract Expressionism. That means art that is made with lines, shapes, and colors that express emotions such as happy, sad, mad. What is your reaction seeing Jackson Pollock's work? Does it make you happy? Does it make you angry? Does it make you sad or confused? I hope you learned a lot about Jackson Pollock today, and we will now make our own action painting in the style of Jackson Pollock. So go get your materials, and I will see you soon. Thank you. Well, we're just about ready to start our art activity today. We're going to do our Action Jackson artwork inspired by Jackson Pollock, who we just learned about. So I'm going to go over some of the materials. I hope you got a chance to get all your materials that you needed from the beginning of this video. So I'll kind of go over everything, and then we'll get right into doing our activity. The first thing you're going to need is a canvas to be able to put your paint on. So what you could use, there's a couple things you could use if you have some old drop cloths around your house that are made out of canvas. I purchased this at Home Depot. They come in various different sizes. This one's a 5x5. They're long. They can go as large as 12 feet long, so depending on how many pieces you want to get out of it. But this is a really great tool to do for our project. You can lay out a full canvas just like Jackson Pollock. If you will have multiple kids that are going to be doing a project, you can cut them in different sizes. I cut my piece to a smaller size, and then you can have a bunch of different kids doing it, kind of spread out. Obviously you don't want them close to each other if they're going to be spraying paint everywhere. And what I do, if I want to be able to frame it later, I try to cut it to the size of a frame that you can purchase at like Michael's or at a frame shop. So if you want to be able to frame it and not have to cut it, so try to cut it to the size. Otherwise, just cut it any size you need. You could also just do it if you have any canvases, pre-made canvases that you can purchase. A lot of times there's sales on these. You can do any size, where it's just already mounted and everything, and you can already hang it up right onto your wall. So you do have the options for, I like the drop cloths. They range anywhere from $5 to $10. So that's what you'll need for your painting. As far as your tools, as I suggested in the material list, to go on a little bit of a nature scavenger hunt. Jackson Pollock used all types of different materials for his artwork. He used sticks, so you can have the children go around in the front of your house or in your backyard, pick up a couple of twigs and some branches that they see. I went, found some kind of cool things that I found in my yard. Also go into your home and find some various tools that you can use. Maybe ones that you don't care that get a little ruined. I found like an old whisk, just like a baster, some chopsticks and a skewer, different things that the kids can kind of explore how the paint splashes on the canvas. And of course, brushes. If they're old, dried up brushes, that's even better. So you want to grab some of your tools that you're going to need. Of course, then you're going to need your paints. You can use all kinds of different paints. I just kind of went around my house and picked up paints that I had laying around. It could be gown paints, acrylic paints. Try to use water-based. It'll make it easier for cleanup, of course. I had old crafts paints. I have some little bottles of paints that you could use. So, if you find house paint, if you want to use it, you have for around your house, in your basement, that's just like Jackson Pollock. He just kind of used whatever paints that were around his home. And then you want to put them in some containers. Some great ways if you want to be recyclable and conserve. I take some water bottles like these and I cut them in half. Obviously, adults need to do this. You can take a knife or a nice good utility knife and you just cut them, and then when you're done with them, you can just throw them out. If they're sharp on the edges, what I do is I'd like to put some duct tape on the edges for the little guys so nobody cuts their fingers, so you could do that. And then you could just put all the various different colors of paint. You could also use Tupperware containers that you use for the takeout. I also use yogurt containers, so a great way to kind of use things that you probably are building up around your house now. So those are ways that you can store your paints. That would be a great way. And then, of course, if you have I had some squeeze bottles around my house, which are a really great way to do some pouring of the paint. I also use that to put some water in there. So when you're mixing the paint, when you pour it into your containers, you want the consistency to be not too watery, a little bit more creamy, kind of like a mustardy consistency. So you want a nice flow as the children pour it on the canvas. And of course I have some water, I have some paper towels, but to be a little bit more conscious of how I use my paper goods, I have some old t-shirts that I can use to wipe my brushes, wipe my hands, and they also make for good smocks. So of course you want to protect yourselves if you want. If you want them to get messy, that's even better. But I have like my apron. You can use an old t-shirt if you have a smock laying around, and then it'll be ready to go. All right. So we're going to get ready to do our painting in just a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start experimenting. I'm going to use kind of this squeeze bottle that I have. And so you want to show them different techniques, either dripping or what it means to splash or plop. Some just sort of different styles that you can play around with the kids and kind of with the wording. So you just kind of get the paints ready. And, Jackson Pollock liked to go around his painting. So, tell the kids, don't just stay in one place, kind of move around the artwork. If they want to dance, put some music on. I don't have any music right now, but you can play some music and really let them kind of go with the music and paint with it and have fun. So as you can see, you can do it on so many different surfaces. I had done a really long one here. We did one on the canvas, and then we did the one that was smaller size that I could put right into a frame. So some great fun thing to do with the kids for an outdoor activity. If for some reason you don't have an outdoor space and you'd still like to bring this indoors, what you could do is take a cardboard box that usually have soup cans or sodas, and you can cut your canvas to fit inside the box. And if you have some marbles or something round, you can throw it into the paint, and then you can have them roll it into the box and get some of the same effects. You can even use some of the brushes, obviously not as crazy as we did doing it outside, but you could still do this indoors and still have a lot of fun with it with the kids. So I hope you enjoyed my art activity for Jackson Pollock, and please stay tuned for another episode coming soon. Thank you.